Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for Friday, January 10th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over my core picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel. In the morning, I'll be posting an injury report that will have all the injuries in play for all the teams besides the two teams on the back-to-back, which are going to be the Orlando Magic and the Golden State Warriors. They will have updated injury reports later on in the day. Throughout the day, I'll be listing injury updates as well as an updated core about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock and as many starting lineups as I can get to throughout the evening as they do get announced. But without further ado, we'll get started with the DraftKings side. We're going to start off at the point guard position with Cole Anthony of the Orlando Magic. He's $5,500. If Jalen Suggs does not play once again, it'll look pretty good for him overall. Looking for 27, 28 out. He's only averaging just under 15 so far on the season, but in the games that he started, the games that he's played big minutes, he's done pretty well. It's a decent matchup versus the Milwaukee Bucks if this game remains competitive, and I definitely do like Cole Anthony in this spot. Currently, I'm projected for about 29. Might have a little bit of upside for more, but he does also come with a little bit of downside for less at the same time as well. Then we're going to move down to shooting guard with Kelly Oubre Jr. Once again, he's been playing really well as of late, playing big minutes, $5,700, probably more in line with the price tag that he should be at this point in time. Probably should be closer to like $6,200, but we're looking for 28, 29 out of him for 5 times value, averaging just under 27 so far on the season. Goes against the Pelicans. Pelicans team's pretty banged up once again at this point in time. Paul George should be back for this game, but Joel Embiid remains out, so Kelly Oubre Jr. is still going to be some usage to go around there for him. If he plays anything like he's done as of late, he's going to be a really good value overall. Currently, I'm projected for 30 to 31 fantasy points on the DraftKings side once again. Then a small forward, we got Corey Kispert here at $4,500. Looking for 22, 23 out of him, averaging just over 20 so far in the season. Goes against the Chicago Bulls. This should be a pretty good pace spot just in general. We'll see who ultimately ends up playing for this Wizards team and who ultimately ends up getting rolled out. If a bunch of players get rolled out once again, could be a good sign for Corey Kispert, who played big minutes the last 2 games, played very well in those 2 games. You know, if Jordan Poole and maybe Alex Sarr and a couple other guys are kind of out once again, Kyle Kuzma is banged up at this point in time, there could be additional minutes for Corey Kispert just in general. And if that's the case, do like him for about 27, 28 fantasy points in this game. You know, if Jordan Poole plays, if some of these other guys ultimately end up playing, we're probably going to pivot off of Corey Kispert, but at least early on looks like a decent little value play. Then we move down to power forward, and I think this is probably the easiest cash game play of the day in Keegan Murray, who did return 2 games ago. He played limited minutes the first game. Second game went into overtime or double overtime. I can't remember off the top of my head. Played a ton of minutes in that game. $4,700, looking for 23, 24 out of him, averaging 27 so far in the season. Not the greatest matchup in the world versus the Boston Celtics, but I still think there is a very reasonable chance that he gets you at least 27 DraftKings points on tonight's slate overall. And then last but not least, we're going down to the opposite end of that game with Kristaps Porzingis of the Boston Celtics, $7,000, so he seems like a little bit of value overall. The games that he's played decent-sized minutes this year, he has typically outperformed this price tag, even though he's only averaging 34 fantasy points per game on the season. Obviously, there is a very shortened game in there as well where he did get injured. He hasn't played a ton of games so far this season, but definitely do like him in this matchup against the Sacramento Kings, who, you know, been a little bit hit or miss on terms of defense. They've been better this year than they have been in more recent years, but definitely like the upside that Kristaps Porzingis can have on this slate. And at $7,000, I think there's a good chance that he gets you close to 37 fantasy points. But once again, there is that high-end upside for even more at the same time as well. And I don't really think there's too much downside to be had unless he gets like into foul trouble against Domantas Sabonis or something else weird like that, or like an injury happens. But overall, looks like a really good play at that center position. But if you go with the 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you have $22,600 remaining, just over $7,500 remaining per player. So a good amount of money remaining left over. Whether or not you want to pay up for a star player or 2, that's definitely something you can do. There should be some values that do open up as the day moves along for this slate as well. It's going to be a pretty interesting 7-game slate overall on a Friday, and you know, typically with Fridays, we have a little bit of chaos where we get some news that we didn't really expect. We'll see if that's the case once again on this Friday. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So on the FanDuel side, didn't really truly love anyone at the point guard position. Ended up on Drew Holiday, $5,700, looking for 28, 29 at him, averaging just over 26 so far in the season. Early on in the season, they did really limit his minutes. They gave Peyton Pritchard some extended playing time. I think it's just with Drew Holiday coming off the Olympics and everything else like that, keeping some of their veterans a little bit more rested early on in the season. But as of late, he's playing the bigger minutes once again. And he's had at least 30 FanDuel points in 3 of his last 5 games, so the upside definitely is there. Currently, I'm projected for about 29-30, but could be a little bit upside for more, a little bit of downside for less, like if this game doesn't remain competitive, which I don't really see, or, they decide to cut back its minutes once again just a little bit. But as of late, the starters have been playing really big minutes for this Boston Celtics team. Then we move down to shooting guard with a cheap player in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, $4,800. Looking for 24 out of him, averaging just under 21 so far in the season. But this Orlando Magic team has been decimated by injuries as of late. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's actually been really consistent and taking a little bit of a step up in the absence of some of their bigger name players, Paolo Banchero, who could potentially be back for this game. He was listed as questionable for Wednesday, ultimately did not end up playing. We'll see whether or not he plays on Thursday night's game or not. If he doesn't, obviously extra usage to go around. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a guy that's eaten up a little bit out of that as of late. And we're only looking for 24 fantasy points. I'm currently got him projected for about 26. Could have a little bit of upside for more, especially going against the Bucks, who have a tendency of giving up 3-point shots over the past couple seasons. If his 3 balls going down once again for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, could be a pretty big night for him overall. Then we're going to move down to small forward once again with Corey Kispert, $4,400, looking for 22 out of him. He's averaging about 19 so far in the season, goes against Chicago Bulls. Should be a pretty good pace spot for both these teams. If the Wizards are shorthanded once again, Corey Kispert should play big minutes and should really pay off at this price tag. And I currently am projected for about 27 FanDuel points. There is some upside for more, if a lot of these other players do not end up playing. But, if Jordan Poole, Alex Sarr, some of these other guys ultimately end up playing, Corey Kispert's probably a name that we're going to pivot off of by the time we do get to lock. Then we move down to power forward. We're going to go with Yabusele here. I'm not going to try to pronounce his first name, but he's $5,900. No Joel Embiid, no Andre Drummond once again, so he'll get that start at center, and he'll play a ton of minutes there, most likely once again. Goes against the New Orleans Pelicans. It's him versus Messi at that center position. Should be a favorable matchup for him. You might see some small ball center with Zion Williamson since he's back now for the Pelicans. But Yabusele, when he's gotten the minutes, he's played pretty well for the most part. We're looking for 29-30 out of him, averaging just under 22 so far in the season, but do currently have him projected for about 30-31 in this game. A little bit upside for more, kind of a lot of downside for less if he doesn't go out there. If he doesn't get the minutes, he gets into foul trouble or something else like that. But there's not really much behind him at this point in time, so he should get all the minutes that he can handle in this game overall. And then last but not least, we're going down to Nikolai Vucevic of the Chicago Bulls, $8,000. Looking for 40 out of him, averaging just under 40 so far in the season. Goes against the Washington Wizards, one of the best matchups in the entire NBA for centers, especially from the fantasy perspective, from the DFS perspective. So definitely do like Nikolai Vucevic in this game. And as I mentioned, looking for 40 points out of him at $8,000. I think there's a good chance that he gets to 45, 46. Does have a ton of upside for more, especially in this matchup versus the Washington Wizards if this game does remain competitive. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do currently have listed here on the FanDuel side, you have $31,200 remaining, $7,800 remaining per player. So a good amount of salary remaining. Pay up for a couple of stud players if that's something you want to do. If you want to go with a little bit more balanced approach, that's definitely fine on the 7-game slate as well. But with that being said, that's what I do have in terms of my core picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments section and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Once again, in the morning, I'll be listing the early morning injury reports. 2 teams on the back-to-back with the Orlando Magic and the Golden State Warriors. They'll have their injury reports coming out later on in the day. I'll be listing injury updates throughout the day. My updated core about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock, and then as many starting lineups as I can get to throughout the evening down in that comment section as well. So definitely make sure that you're checking up down there as we do get closer to lock and as the night moves along so that you have all the most relevant information as possible. But with that being said, if you're brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we just have NBA DFS going on in terms of the core pick videos Tuesday through Friday. But in the future, we'll be doing some NFL draft content. We'll be doing some UFL DFS as well. So definitely be sure to look out for those videos in the future. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user to any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's a 100% match up to $100, and then for BetUS, it's a 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport. Be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS for Friday, January 10th.